Hi, it's Miss Pasulka here to talk to you about financial aid. Now, financial aid is a topic very near and dear to my heart. In my particular situation, I found out that my parents were not going to help me to pay for college a week before I left home. And don't worry, life is long. My parents and I are fine now. But I was going to Dartmouth, and Dartmouth is not cheap. Now, fortunately, Dartmouth is very good with financial aid. So they knocked themselves out to make sure that it was possible for me to go there. And I got really lucky in that way. But I don't want you to have to depend on luck, so I'm going to give you just a little bit of advice. I am not an expert, but I'm basing this on my experiences and students I've worked with. So my first piece of advice is to have a frank conversation with your parents about finances, frank and explicit. You may be surprised about the expectations and assumptions that you have about college finances versus the expectations and assumptions that your parents have about college finances. Maybe your parents are happy to fund one college but not the other. Maybe you or they don't really realize the true cost of attending college. Maybe you or they are assuming that you'll get enough scholarships to cover it. Especially in the case where two parents are not living together because of divorce or some other reason, make sure that both parents are going to submit financial aid documents for you, and make sure contributions to college are clearly defined somewhere. Second thing you should do is have a frank conversation with yourself about what are you willing to do in order to attend whatever college. In my case, I had to work every single day I was on break from college. I did work study during the year. I took out loans. I spent very little money on myself at that time. I remember one time in particular when I literally had $5 to my name. And then I graduated and I had about the equivalent of 1 year's worth of tuition, room and board fees, all in loans to pay back. But I don't regret it. I'm very proud that I did it, and the whole experience really developed me as a person in a way, I don't think anything else could have. But plenty of people regret going into debt for college. Plenty of students are are not willing to make the sacrifices in time or in luxuries over those 4 years that they would have to make. And that's absolutely fine. You do not have to be a martyr to go to college. And I think most people who've been to college would say that what you get out of college depends way more on what you put into it and much less on the particular college that you actually go to. So make sure that you're having an honest conversation with yourself about all of these things. Number three, choose your schools wisely. So the general matrix is that private schools will have more money available for financial aid and be more flexible about the ways that they distribute that aid. Your state school will be able to give you more money than other people's state schools or than other state schools who have to take care of their own students. So just because the sticker price of a particular college is higher does not mean that the end cost will be higher for that school. And you definitely want to investigate a few particular lists of schools. So, first list you want to look at is schools that have 100% need blind admissions. Or just be aware if they're 80% need blind admissions. So, in other words, schools don't consider, so need schools with 100% need blind admissions don't consider your ability to pay for that school anywhere in the whole process when they decide whether or not to offer you admission. Second list you should investigate is schools that meet 100% financial need. Third list is no loan schools. So these are schools that meet 100% financial need, but they do it without requiring you to take out loans. And then finally, if you don't think you can qualify for need-based financial aid, then look specifically at schools that offer a lot of merit aid. The most important thing about these lists is that you look at them before you decide which colleges to apply to. Financial aid varies wildly, and sometimes very similar schools in very similar locations will give you vastly different amounts of financial aid. Fourth tip, apply early. Many schools now tie merit scholarships to early application deadlines. And now you can complete the FAFSA October 1st of your senior year, whereas the deadline used to be January 1st. Now it's October 1st, and you should apply as soon as you can. Certain types of aid are offered on only a first come, first served basis, and sometimes it runs out. Or always it runs out eventually. Fifth tip, appeal your financial aid package. Or, don't be shy about appealing your financial aid package after you get your award. Now, many schools have a system, for students to appeal financial aid decisions. When I appealed way back when, the amount of my grants, the money that you don't have to pay back, increased from about 1/3 of my total costs to about 2/3 of my total costs. One student I worked with told me that she got an extra $43,000 a year in grants on appeal. Now, you are not going to get that because that is a complete anomaly. A better estimate from the students I've worked with is that you could receive anywhere from $0 to about $10,000 on appeal extra per year. That's $40,000. And if a college, so like I said, most colleges have clearly defined appeals processes now, but if the college doesn't or you can't find it, just speak to a financial aid officer after you get your package and just say something, simple and truthful, like, I would love to go to your college, but I'm in the position where I have to follow the financial aid. Is there any way that you can take another look at my financial aid application? And just see what they say. Finally, outside scholarships. There are major outside scholarships that are very competitive and that can make a big difference on your bottom line. The Gates Scholarship, Posse, Questbridge, Brian Cameron. But in general, you are going to get much more money in financial aid from the college that you attend than you will from outside scholarships. The other thing to be aware of with outside scholarships is that sometimes the college will calculate the outside scholarship against the financial aid that they've already awarded you. So after all that work, your net will be $0. Worse, the colleges and the scholarships are not always transparent about whether or not this will happen until after you've won the particular scholarship. So just be aware of it and try to get out ahead of it. And that's pretty much all my advice on financial aid. Next video, what to do if you're having a hard time getting started in this process.